Okay, so I just watched your first one from today, and your second one was really short, so I watched it as well. The biggest thing I wanted to talk to you about as a mom is the food thing with kids, okay? Because though my children were sometimes picky, they weren't always picky, okay? And I do have some advice for you. We didn't have money, and we didn't have a choice. Well, this is because apparently Mike was eating our money, and he didn't care that we weren't getting that food that he got to eat while I was making hardtack at home. And I was going to food pantries, and I was doing everything I could to make sure we had food on the table. He was eating our money. So that made choices really hard sometimes for us when it came to food. And for us, it was more like, I'm sorry if you don't want this. This is all there is. This is all there's going to be for the next week. And I'm really sorry, but this is what there is. And you said, why are children so picky, so ungrateful? You said ungrateful. Why are children so ungrateful when it comes to food? And I'm going to tell you, they're not. Children are not ungrateful for food. The children that are ungrateful for food are typically children that are being allowed to be ungrateful for food. Children that are being allowed to say the only thing I'll eat is hot dogs and mustard. The children who are being allowed to have a meal cooked for them, bitch about it, and their mom will cook another meal. Children who don't have a say, who don't have a choice, are typically not ungrateful. My children did complain sometimes, and boy, when Andrew cooked. So, but yeah, so I would recommend, there's a couple things I would recommend. I would definitely recommend don't be too pushy about it. Definitely make sure that you tell your kids, okay, but there is no snacks later. This was the meal. If you ate the meal, there might be snacks later. But if you do not eat the meal, I will save the meal so you can have an opportunity to eat it again later. But there will there will not be any other food until this food is eaten. Tonight. Just tonight. Okay? Give your kids a clean slate the next day. Because, like dogs, they don't understand as much yet because they haven't completely developed their brains. So, very similar to dogs, that it needs to be started over. You can't keep the same punishment going the next day because they no longer remember why they're being punished. All they know is that for some reason they're being tortured and they don't know why. And it becomes like this traumatic thing that's happening to them and they don't know why. And when someone doesn't know why they're being punished, the punishment is kind of pointless. And I did do this myself to my kids when Andrew and Dane were really young. So I learned the very hard way. Is it all set up? Ready to go? Well, set it up, Fox. I learned the hard way how horrible that can be. It's not just horrible for them, it is horrible for you. Okay? So if they're hungry, here's your food, and you're going to probably get angry sometimes at Emberly. It's completely gonna be a normal thing for that to happen every once in a while. Don't beat yourself up about it. But I would recommend that you just try to remember to take a deep breath. Remember this when that happens. Remember, Chris said that this is going to happen. And I'm going to choose, and I think that that's a good way to put it, choose some boundaries for yourself. Not for Emberly, because you can't, that's not a boundary if you're trying to choose it for Emberly. Choose boundaries for yourself, okay? And that boundary can be like, if Emberly does not eat all of her food, the consequence will be that I don't make another meal. If Emberly does not eat all of her food, the consequence will be that I will be willing to put that food away for Emberly so that Emberly can get another chance later if Emberly says that she's hungry. So, but I would recommend that you try not to take it personally, try not to get angry, and remember that as their brains are not fully developed, the punishment is irrelevant the next day. Don't put the food in front of them again. But let them know from the get-go, I'm really sorry that you don't like the food, but this is the food today. And you can even give them options. Would you like to add ketchup or to add mustard? Typically 2 options to begin with is really good. Would you like to add something to make it taste better? Would you like? And then you can even like pull them out so that they can see the items because they're really small. Seeing a bright bottle might help them to make a choice. They might hit the bottle and try and throw it away from you, but it will help them to make a good choice, to calm down. And because your children, there was something I was learning earlier, it's your children learn how to regulate through you. And if you, and that was one of my biggest problems, is I couldn't self-regulate. I still struggle with self-regulation because I was never taught how to self-regulate. So, remembering to be calm, give them empathy. Oh man, that really sucks that you don't like this food. I'm really sorry, but this is all there is for now. You know, you could try something like that. You could try, but I do recommend that you try to make it so that you're always on Emberly's side. Look, I understand you don't like this food and that really sucks. I'm really sorry for you. I feel a lot of empathy, but unfortunately, this is what was cooked tonight. So maybe we can make the best of it. And you can come up with something like that. But yeah, it was just, my mom was cruel like that. My mom, she would put food in front of us multiple times. She did that a couple times. She didn't do that always, but food tended to disappear at our house. If you didn't eat it, one of your siblings would. So, I mean, and you had to eat it fast, or they might anyways. But she would get really angry about it and mean. She would get mean. And I do have food insecurities still. And my childhood and my marriage are a big part of the reasons I do have food insecurities. So that's how I was taught to do it. And that's what I did. We don't have a ton of food. You have to eat this. This is dinner. Not only do you have to eat this because this is dinner, but you need the nutrients and I'm going to make this a thing and you have to eat it. And it ended a couple of times with peas being vomited across the table. Because, and that's a big thing, is like, they're so stressed because of what's happening that they can't hold it down first off, or they're struggling, they may struggle to hold it down, but also if they're refusing to eat it, is it possible that the reason they're refusing to eat it is because their body is not accepting it as nutrients. We don't know this. So we just don't. We don't know. But there's a couple thoughts. There's also a couple of like educational like courses and stuff that you can watch on it. I do highly recommend taking some courses and really think about what you're going to use. I was going to say what you're going to digest, because I think that's funny. But then I was like, this is a serious video. I can't say that. I have to be serious. Really think about which parts of those videos you want to use and which parts you don't want to use, because those videos are often, they often instruct you to allow children to walk all over you. And I don't think you should. And I didn't really let my children walk all over me. But, I mean, it was not perfect. I am definitely not perfect. So, but there is a place of harmony that I would seek to find it. And also, something that I always did that was very helpful is I always incorporated nutritious foods. I couldn't afford crappy food anyways. I couldn't afford chicken nuggets. I couldn't afford French fries. So my children didn't get those things because my husband was eating our money. So I know I'm going to keep coming back to that. I'm really not happy about it, especially considering my current circumstances. But I couldn't afford them. So I had to find other ways to make it happen. And yeah, getting creative, children love. So if you're like, okay, and if that your children have more to do with the food, it will be helpful. Let's say you can only afford either a cabbage or carrots. If you ask your children, we can only afford either this or this, which one would you prefer to try? And then if you ask them when you're preparing it, hey, I'm thinking of cutting it this way, but I could also cut it this way. Which way do you think would be the nicest to cut it? Or which way do you think would be the coolest to cut it? And then you can ask them, hey, I'm thinking of either doing herbs or spices to season this. Which one do you think would be the best? And then they could smell the spices or the herbs to help you decide what to do. That's a beneficial way. It does take a lot more energy, but it teaches your children that they can be an active part of their food and that it is something that they are a part of. They're welcome to be a part of it. It also teaches them self-regulation and how to self-manage themselves. Like, what kind of food am I wanting to eat and why? You can talk to them about that too. So I always told the kids when we were eating something that was junk food, this is not healthy. This is definitely a treat. My children see all cold cereal as a treat. You know why? Because it is. I will die on that fucking hill. Cold cereal is not a meal. It is not a breakfast. It is a treat and should only rarely be eaten. It's not something that should be eaten regularly. That stuff is bad for you. You want to eat it even for breakfast? Fine. But let's not pretend that it's healthy, because it is not. It is a treat. You are eating a treat for breakfast. Same with like toaster waffles or something like that. That is not a breakfast. That is a treat. It's got 11 grams of sugar in it. Cookies have 6. Cookies often have 3 grams of sugar, and they're cookies, which is a treat. So when we would have stuff like that, I would make sure to be like, wow, this is a major treat. We're having pancakes for breakfast. Wow, we're very privileged. That's awesome. Or if they wanted to do eggs or pancakes for breakfast, I would be sure to be like, we should have an egg too, to make sure that we get something nutritious in us. So anyways, this video is getting really long. I could go on about food and education and shit. So I hope your trip is good, but I have to go now. I'll watch your other videos later. I don't have a lot of time because I got to clock in for work. I just got to work. But that really kind of pissed me off when you said that Bo got overstimulated, so he left her to cry. Do you know how often moms get overstimulated and they have no choice? I guess it's better for him to leave her alone than for him to shake her, which is something that's very typical for babies that age. Like, holding a baby because they're crying and comforting them, I mean, that's another human fucking being. Show some compassion. Just pisses me off. Anyways, yep. I think I'm good. I gotta go check in for work and get to work. Is that the sun? Why is my lights on? That's weird. How long have I been driving with those motherfuckers on? I didn't even notice, honestly. So it's fine. Who the fuck turned them on? Oh, I'll bet it was Ronan and he left them on all night, and thank God my freaking vehicle started. I'm gonna have to give her a piece of my mind tonight. Well, that's the intention of school, is it's not to educate children. School is not meant to educate children. It's never been meant to educate children. School is and has always been, as soon as the traditional school that we now are in was created, school has been meant to create drones. It's meant to train children to work a 9-to-5 and to take fewer and fewer breaks. Like, that's the intention. So I wonder about the autism thing, but I do agree that I don't think the system was designed for anyone. It was designed deliberately to support capitalism and the patriarchy. Go be a little drone to make money to survive in a society that doesn't care if you're surviving. Don't make enough money to survive. You're never going to make a living wage and all that good stuff. And people with autism or some form of neurodivergent just make that impossible to navigate because they're not capable of just sitting around. And no, I agree, it's not necessarily something that's wrong for people to have, especially certain levels of autism. Autistic people are better at certain tasks and whatnot. The problem is the autistic people do not conform to, God damn it, it's not in here. Fuck, where did I put that? I probably lost it. I wonder if I had it on my car the other day. Did I put it on the top of my car? My bottle, my cup, my to-go cup. I think I had it on my car. But yeah, so I do agree with that. It's very frustrating because I know, like, the potential that I have to benefit society, the potential that most people have to benefit society is massive, but they never will be given the opportunity because our government doesn't fucking care about that. What they want are little drones to continue to oil the machine. That's what they want. So be your little drone, have many, many children that you can't afford, and no one's going to help you afford them, and fuck all. So I just heard this morning, I was watching a story about these parents who they just found them, and they had, I think it said 19 children in like a 1-bedroom, very small home. And this is what conservatism wants. The place was filthy. The children weren't going to school. The children weren't receiving medical or anything. They weren't insured or anything. And the mom had been, I think it said 15 when they started having kids, and the dad had been 19 when they started having kids. So the biggest gap was 2 years between the children, but like they just popped them out and popped them out. Like, what the fuck? Our society does that. That's what the conservatives want. Go have as many babies as fucking possible. Doesn't matter if you can afford them. There are literally people on television right now saying, don't be dare to get married young and have babies you can't afford to have. Are you fucking kidding me? Are you kidding me? You've got to be fucking kidding me. Do you know what that's gonna do to our society? That's what it's gonna do. It's gonna produce a world where the children can't be afforded, and they're gonna be suffering from malnutrition and not taken care of properly and be covered in bug bites and diseases. And is our government gonna give a flying fuck? No, they're not. They didn't care that my mom abused me. They didn't fucking care what I went through as a child. They didn't care that I myself was forced to have children. They don't care as long as you have them. Oh, I gotta go. I'll listen to the rest of your message later. Good morning, by the way. I'm not too ornery. I might be a little bit ornery. It's fine. How am I gonna put this up here? Oh my god, oh my god. Did it just say it's not plugged in? I don't know. It seems to be plugged in. I'll have to open it and see. I completely agree with you that people who are rapists and murderers, well, rapists specifically, should be castrated. Made unable, especially if they're constant sex offenders. The simple fact is that most sex offenders are never convicted or charged or have any kind of punishment. And that's fucked up. I think I lost my cup. I probably put it on top of my car and lost it. But I hope it still shows up, because I liked that cup. And that's frustrating. Yes. I gotta get to work. I gotta figure this out. I haven't gotten the work that I said I would get done for today's meeting. So, shit. I know you haven't caught up yet, but there were a couple of other thoughts that I had about the food. I don't remember. That one was a 16-minute video. What do you want from me? There were a couple things. Hold on, let me think. So, giving your kids choices, asking their opinion, making it clear that you're on their side and you're empathetic, but that this is how it is, unfortunately. Explaining the budgeting to them in a way that they can understand. I know there was other things that I wanted to mention. A lot of parents do fall into that trap of either just buying the food without explaining it to their children at all, or just giving in and making food that their children want. But oh well. Look, we'll talk to you later. Have a good night, and Um, um, stuff. Okay.